Welcome to the deep dive. So you're getting ready for the IELTS exam, and you want to make sure you can handle anything they throw at you about transportation.
Absolutely.
Well, you sent us some pretty interesting material.
Yeah.
It's got everything from Tokyo's subway system to self-driving cars.
Wow. That's a lot to cover.
Yeah, it is.
But
But we're going to break it all down.
okay.
And by the end of this deep dive, you'll be ready to cruise right through those IELTS questions.
I love it.
All right.
So,
So let's jump right in. Let's start with public transportation.
okay.
It's often called like the backbone of a well-functioning city.
I like that.
So,
Yeah.
imagine this. Okay. Millions of people moving smoothly through Tokyo
Okay.
every single day,
Yeah.
thanks to their amazing subway system.
Yeah.
That's what efficient public transportation can do.
It's a lifeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think that like having good public transport automatically makes a city more sustainable?
Well, it's definitely a big part of it.
Right.
You know, the material highlights words like traffic congestion
Uh-huh.
and mobility options.
Right.
And these are essential for the IELTS speaking section.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. When public transport is good,
Yeah.
it means people don't need to drive their own cars as much.
Yeah.
And that leads to less congestion, and the air is cleaner, too.
That makes a lot of sense, especially when you look at what's going on in places like Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
Their air quality problems are infamous.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where the source materials vocabulary around carbon emissions and urban sprawl comes in handy.
Okay.
Los Angeles shows us how relying too much on cars can be really bad for the environment and how cities grow.
Okay.
Yeah.
But let's be real.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just so much easier to hop in your car
It is.
and go.
Yeah.
The source material does say that cars give you flexibility
Yeah.
and privacy that you don't always get with public transport.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
So how do we balance this need for convenience with the push for sustainability?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is where the future of transportation comes in.
And this is where it gets really exciting.
It does.
The source material talks about
Yeah.
electric and autonomous vehicles,
Mm.
shared mobility, and smart infrastructure.
Okay.
It feels like we're on the edge of like a transportation revolution.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, we're dealing with the problems of depending on cars so much today, but the future,
Yeah.
it has a lot of potential, but also some uncertainty.
Right.
When you say
Absolutely.
the material mentions autonomous vehicles and shared mobility
Right.
as potential game changers.
Yeah.
Imagine
Okay.
cities that are designed for traffic to flow perfectly
Wow.
with barely any delays or emissions.
Yeah, but there's some big questions we need to think about.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
how will this change how we design cities?
Right.
And what's going to happen to all the jobs in the transportation sector?
Yeah.
If everyone is using self-driving cars or ride-sharing,
Yeah.
what happens to all the taxi drivers and truckers?
These are important points,
Yeah.
and it's good to bring them up.
Wow.
Even when you're answering IELTS questions.
Okay.
It shows you're thinking critically.
Okay.
You know, the ethical stuff around self-driving cars is complicated too,
Yeah.
especially like how AI makes decisions in traffic.
Yeah.
That's definitely something worth exploring more.
It's definitely a lot to think about, but
Yeah.
I feel like even just acknowledging these uncertainties in the IELTS exam
Yeah,
shows that you really understand the topic.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Showing that you're aware of the possible downsides along with the benefits shows you have a nuanced understanding.
Okay.
This is where all those vocab words from the source material, like smart infrastructure and sustainable transportation,
All right.
can really make your answers shine.
Okay, so we've talked about public transport, we've talked about car dependency, we've talked about the exciting and maybe slightly unnerving
Yeah.
future of mobility. But before we get into like the really specific vocabulary
Okay.
and examples, is there anything else from this overview that stands out to you?
You know, I think what's really interesting is how all these things are connected.
Okay.
Urban planning, the environment, all the new technology,
Right.
and even social equity.
Yeah.
Transportation isn't just about getting from one place to another.
Right.
It's a part of everything.
Yeah.
And it affects so many things.
You know, that's a great point.
It is.
Understanding how all of that is connected
Yeah,
will definitely help you on the IELTS exam,
absolutely.
but it'll also make you a more informed citizen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us to a really key point. The material highlights the idea of accessibility.
Right?
Yeah.
The source material mentions making public transport accessible to those with disabilities.
Yeah.
But it's bigger than that, isn't it?
It is.
We're talking about making sure that transportation is fair for everyone.
Yes.
No matter their physical abilities or income or where they live.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about creating a transportation system that works for everybody.
Okay.
So now that we have that broader context,
Yeah.
let's dig deeper into the specific vocabulary and examples from your source material.
Okay.
I think you'll be surprised how much richer these terms become
Okay.
when you see them within this bigger picture
Right.
of interconnectedness and equity.
You've got me intrigued.
Good.
Let's unpack some of those vocabulary gems and see how they can help you ace that IELTS exam.
Let's do it. Welcome back to our deep dive into transportation. Before we got into the IELTS-specific vocabulary, we were talking about how transportation is connected to urban planning,
Right.
the environment, and social equity.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping that bigger picture in mind will make these vocabulary words a lot more meaningful and memorable.
Yeah, because it's not just about memorizing definitions. It's about understanding how these terms fit into like a larger conversation about transportation.
Exactly.
So let's revisit some of those key words and
Oh,
see how they can help you like really articulate your thoughts on this topic.
sounds good.
Okay, so the source material starts with traffic congestion,
Okay.
which it defines as
Yeah.
the overcrowding of vehicles on roads leading to slower movement.
Right.
Okay, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But how can you use it in a sentence?
Okay.
That shows you really get it.
Yeah, so instead of just saying
Yeah.
traffic congestion is bad,
Okay.
you could say something like,
Okay.
traffic congestion not only increases commuting times, but also contributes to air pollution and driver frustration,
Right.
highlighting the need for sustainable transportation solutions.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so much better.
Yeah.
It shows you understand how complex the issue is.
Right.
And that you can connect it to those broader themes.
Exactly. And that's what the IELTS examiners are looking for. Evidence of critical thinking
Yeah.
and the ability to express your ideas well.
Okay, let's try another one.
Okay.
What about mobility options?
Oh, okay.
The source defines it as different ways of traveling from one place to another.
Okay, so this one's all about having choices.
Okay.
You could say something like expanding mobility options, such as investing in public transportation and cycling infrastructure,
Right.
can reduce reliance on private cars,
Uh-huh.
leading to a more sustainable and equitable transportation system.
I like how you're bringing in those concepts of sustainability and equity that we talked about before.
Right.
It shows you're not just thinking about the words themselves,
Yeah,
but how they relate to the bigger picture.
it's all connected.
Yeah.
Now let's tackle sustainable,
Okay.
which the material defines as practices that do not deplete resources or harm the environment.
This one feels really relevant right now,
It does.
with climate change being such a big issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So instead of just saying sustainable transportation is important, you could say
Yeah.
investing in sustainable transportation,
Okay.
such as electric buses and bike sharing programs, is crucial for reducing carbon emissions
Right.
and creating a healthier environment for future generations.
Okay. I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
You're taking these definitions that seem kind of simple
Yeah.
and turning them into these really insightful statements
Yeah.
that show you have a deep understanding of transportation issues.
And you can do the same.
Okay.
It's all about connecting the dots.
Okay.
Showing the examiners that you can think critically and communicate your ideas clearly and in a way that's interesting.
Now, I know the source material also includes some idioms,
Okay.
which can be tricky to use naturally.
They can be.
One of them is hit the road,
Yeah.
which basically just means to start traveling.
Right.
But how can you use that in a way that relates to transportation?
Okay. Good question. You could say something like, with the rise of shared mobility services,
Right.
people can easily hit the road without owning a car,
Right.
reducing the financial burden and environmental impact of private vehicle ownership.
That's a great example.
The
You
eight.
took like a common idiom
Yeah.
and used it to express a really sophisticated idea about transportation trends.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay, let's shift gears to car dependency.
Perfect.
Oh,
Because the source gives us some great vocabulary for this topic.
okay.
First up is urban sprawl,
Okay.
which it defines as the uncontrolled expansion of urban areas.
Urban sprawl is something I've definitely seen myself.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like cities just keep spreading outwards,
They do.
which makes people drive more
Right.
and have longer commutes.
Exactly. So instead of just saying urban sprawl is a problem, you could say urban sprawl, often driven by car dependency, leads to increased traffic congestion, longer commutes, and a decline in air quality, highlighting the need for more compact and sustainable urban development.
That's a great answer.
Thanks.
It shows you understand the causes and effects of urban sprawl.
Yeah.
And how it relates to sustainable urban planning.
Remember, the IELTS exam isn't just about vocabulary.
Right.
It's about showing you can think critically and communicate your ideas well.
Okay. What other good vocabulary do we have for car dependency?
Well, there's carbon emissions.
Okay.
Which are greenhouse gases released by vehicles and industries.
And we all know how important it is to reduce those carbon emissions.
We do. It's crucial.
To fight climate change.
Exactly. You could say something like, reducing carbon emissions from transportation is crucial for mitigating climate change.
Okay.
And transitioning to electric vehicles and investing in public transportation are essential steps in this direction.
Okay, that's a strong statement.
Yeah.
It shows you get the link between transportation and climate change.
Yeah.
And you're able to suggest some solutions.
Exactly. Now, let's not forget about commuting time.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the amount of time spent traveling to and from work or school.
Commuting time is a pain.
It is.
Especially in cities with lots of traffic.
Right, you could say.
Yeah.
Reducing commuting time through things like improving public transportation and promoting remote work options can enhance quality of life, reduce stress, and boost productivity.
I like how you're connecting transportation to these bigger benefits for society.
It's important.
It's not just about getting around.
No.
It's about improving people's lives overall.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the importance of accessibility and equity.
Right.
Remember, transportation can either make inequalities worse or it can help make things fairer.
And the IELTS examiners will be impressed if you show you understand those social aspects of transportation.
Absolutely. Now, before we move on to the future of transportation, let's take a look at one more idiom from the source material.
Okay.
At a snail's pace.
Okay.
Which means moving very slowly.
Okay, this one's perfect for describing those horrible traffic jams.
It is, isn't it?
We all hate them.
So instead of simply saying traffic was bad, you could say, due to heavy traffic congestion, cars were moving at a snail's pace, causing delays and frustration for commuters.
That's a much more interesting way to describe it.
Yeah, I think so too.
It paints a picture.
Remember, using idioms well can make your language more colorful and interesting.
Yeah.
And your answers will be more memorable and have more impact.
Okay, I'm feeling a lot more confident about using these words and idioms now.
I'm glad to hear that.
So are you ready to jump into the exciting world of the future of transportation?
I am.
Okay, let's do it. Buckle up. It's time to explore the future of transportation.
Okay.
Where those sci-fi dreams start to feel like reality.
I love it.
We've already talked about autonomous vehicles and shared mobility.
Yeah.
But the source material goes even deeper with terms like smart infrastructure.
Oh, yeah. Smart infrastructure is all about using technology. Okay.
To make transportation systems more efficient and responsive.
So
Yeah, imagine traffic lights.
Okay.
That can change their timing based on like how much traffic there is at that moment.
Okay.
Or sensors that can detect accidents and immediately alert emergency services.
So it's like the city itself is learning
Yeah.
and adapting to our transportation needs.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It is pretty cool.
And with self-driving cars on top of that,
Yeah.
it feels like the possibilities are endless.
They really do. The source material talks about a future
Yeah.
where self-driving cars can actually talk to each other
Wow.
and to the city's infrastructure
Okay.
to create this seamless flow of traffic.
So no more gridlock.
No.
No more wasting time and fuel.
Exactly.
Just smooth,
Yeah.
safe, and sustainable transportation.
That's the goal.
Okay, I can totally picture myself in a self-driving car, cruising through this futuristic city
Yeah.
with no traffic at all.
It's a nice thought, isn't it? It is. But let's come back to reality for a minute.
Okay.
The source material also mentions smart cities
Right.
in connection with all these future trends.
Yeah.
So how do those two things relate?
Well, think of smart cities as like the bigger environment
Okay.
where all these cool transportation advancements can really work.
Okay.
A smart city uses technology and data to improve all sorts of things about city life,
Right.
including transportation.
Right.
It's about making a city more efficient, more sustainable,
Yeah.
and more focused on the people who live there.
I'm starting to see how it all fits together. Smart infrastructure, self-driving cars, smart cities, like they're all working towards the same goal of a more connected and efficient future.
Exactly. And remember, the IELTS exam often asks you to talk about the future of transportation.
Right.
So being able to discuss these concepts using the right vocabulary will really make your answers stand out.
Okay, so smart cities is going on my list of important terms.
Good.
But before we move on, I want to go back to something we talked about earlier. Social equity.
Right.
The source material mentions making public transport accessible for people with disabilities. But I feel like there's a bigger conversation to be had here.
I think so, too.
Yeah?
Transportation can either make existing inequalities worse, or it can help create a more level playing field.
Yeah.
Imagine if public transport was unreliable or too expensive.
Okay.
It would hit low-income communities the hardest. Because they depend on it the most.
That's such an important point.
It is.
It shows how transportation isn't just about technology.
No, it's not.
And cool new inventions. It's about people. And making sure everyone has equal access to opportunities.
It's about creating a system that empowers people, connects them to jobs, healthcare, education, all the things that make for a good quality of life.
And that's where the idea of mobility justice comes in, right? It's not just about getting from point A to point B. It's about making sure everyone has the freedom to move around and fully participate in society.
Exactly. And as we design the transportation systems of the future, we need to keep this idea of mobility justice front and center.
Okay.
How can we make sure that these new technologies and innovations benefit everyone, not just a few lucky people?
That's a really important question.
It is.
And something you could even talk about in your IELTS answers.
Oh, absolutely.
It shows you're thinking critically about the social impact of all these advancements.
Showing that awareness will definitely impress the examiners.
Okay.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, there's one more thing from the source material that I want to mention.
Okay.
It talks about the importance of considering non-motorized modes of transportation.
You mean like walking, cycling, skateboarding?
Exactly. Those often get forgotten when we're talking about the future, but they're so important.
Right.
Think about it. Encouraging people to walk and cycle
not
only means fewer cars on the road, but it also creates healthier and more vibrant communities.
Imagine cities designed with streets that are friendly to pedestrians and dedicated bike lanes.
Exactly. It would make getting around so much more enjoyable. And it would encourage people to be more active.
And we can't forget about the benefits for the environment.
Of course not.
Less cars means cleaner air and less noise.
Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones.
I totally agree. Okay, so we've come full circle.
We have.
We've explored everything from public transport and car dependency to the really exciting possibilities of the future. But more importantly, we've connected those ideas to bigger concepts like sustainability, equity, and even the simple joy of walking or biking through a lively city.
We've unpacked those key vocabulary words from your source material and showed you how to use them effectively in your IELTS responses. Remember, it's not just about memorizing definitions. It's about showing that you understand how all these different factors work together to shape transportation.
And even beyond the IELTS exam, I think we've all learned a lot about how important transportation is in our lives.
Absolutely.
And all the challenges and opportunities that are coming up.
So as you continue preparing for your IELTS exam, and just in general, keep these insights in mind.
Okay.
Think critically about the future of transportation. Consider everyone's needs. And strive to create a transportation system that is sustainable, equitable, and accessible for everyone.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of transportation.
I think it's time.
Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery.
It's been fun.
We hope you've learned some valuable stuff. Are feeling more ready to tackle those IELTS questions.
Good luck.
Safe travels, everyone.
Bye.